Hey guys, I hope that I'm live right now and you guys are able to watch and listen to me properly. Hey guys, I hope that I'm live right now and there's no problem with my audio or video. There were no plans to change the timing. Actually, the problem happened that the first, there are two boot camps. So the first boot camp on web development got extended a little bit, and that's why I had to delay the second boot camp itself. As well as I forgot to share the post on WhatsApp, so I just shared it right now. It is being shared right now as well. We'll get started right away. We'll not be wasting any time right now. I'll just open Colab and we'll get started. Okay. Yeah, good evening everyone. I hope that you are all right, and if there is any problem please solve it. Okay, let me just open it up. So yesterday we had completed a lot. Let us just see where were we in the last class. Types and type conversion revision, I think so that has been done. This also has been done. List and membership operators has been done. Membership operators on list done. Mutability and order, we were right over here. Okay, what if I miss any session? Will I get recordings of those session? There are no attendance policy in the full stack web developer training and internship program. Okay, if you are missing any classes, all the classes are recorded and recordings will be provided to you, so there is no issue with that same. Okay. Yeah, Pulkit, I don't know if you know Python or not, because 40% of the people enrolling in the bootcamp actually did not know Python. So first of all, we need to complete Python, then only can get started with machine learning. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand any of it. Okay, let's continue with Python itself. So mutability and order, this was where we were in the last class itself. And how are lists different from strings? Both support slicing, indexing in, not in operators. So we have already seen that lists and strings both support slicing, both supports indexing, both supports the membership operators, that is in and not in operators. The most obvious difference between them is that string is a sequence of characters, while list elements can be of any type of objects, strings, integers, floats, or bool. Okay, are you able to understand that? Okay, so you are having your object, strings, integers, floats, and bools, and basically strings are sequence of characters. So you are having your A, B, C, D, I, E, I, O, U. You are having your 1 to 9, 0 to 9. You are having your special characters. So strings are basically sequence of characters, while lists are sequence of elements, a sequence of objects, such as strings. You can have a list of strings, you can have a list of integers, you can have a list of bools, you can have a list of floats, and have a list of multiple different data types as well. So this is the most obvious difference between the same itself. Okay. Next, a more important difference is that lists can be modified but strings can't. Okay, so lists can be modified but strings can't. So that is basically called as mutability. We'll look at it right now. So here you are having a particular list of names. Okay, Sam, Pam, Rocky, Austin, Steve, Banner, Tony, Bruce, Henry, Clark, and Diana. And then you are having your students, that is Ben. Okay, you are having your students Ben. So what I'm doing right now is, you are having your list. I want to change the index, the name I present at the second index, that is Rocky. Rocky is present at the index number 2. I want to change Rocky to Ben. How can I do that? I can just write students 2, that is I can access that particular index, students 2, that is the name, that is Rocky, and then I can just assign Ben to it. Okay, now Rocky would be replaced by Ben, and when I'm running this particular line of code, you will be able to see in the output that let us just see it. So it's connecting, so it will just get started with this. It is necessary to learn machine learning before data analysis. No, usually you have to learn machine learning and data analysis hand in hand. So you have to learn both of them at the same point of time itself. Okay, so as you are able to see now, Rocky has got replaced by Ben. Okay, we have put student 2 is equals to Ben, so Rocky has been replaced by Ben. This is called as the entire list can be modified. We can add a particular element, we can delete a particular element, we can modify a particular element as well. So lists can be modified, hence they are called as mutable. That is, they can be mutated, okay, they can be modified, hence lists are called as mutable in nature, hence they are mutable and ordered in nature. Next, when I'm looking at a string, so yeah, I'm a string of characters, that is Barry. I want to change Barry to Berry, berry. One of the possibilities is similar to list. I'm just writing student and then the first index, that is A is present at index 1, and then I want to change it with E. Okay, so I want to change A with E, just like we did in lists. Let us see what happens. When I'm running this particular code, it will be showing me an error that str object does not support item assignment. Why this is happening is because strings are immutable in nature. You cannot modify that. You cannot add something to it, delete something from that. Okay, strings are mutable, not immutable in nature. You cannot mutate a string. To change Barry into Berry, the only thing that you can do is you can just write student, the entire word. You have to change the entire string itself. Student is equals to Berry. Okay, now this will work because here you are just taking out Barry, okay, taking out the entire value from it and replacing it with some new value, that is Berry. That is possible, but you cannot do like item assignment. You cannot take up a particular index and assign a particular value to that particular index itself, because strings are immutable in nature. So lists are mutable in nature because we can modify them, whereas strings are immutable in nature because we cannot modify them. Hence, the basic difference between a string and a list is that strings are immutable and ordered, whereas lists are mutable and ordered. Okay. Mutability is about whether or not we can change an object once it has been created. If an object like a list or a string can be changed like a list can, then it is called as mutable in nature. However, if an object cannot be changed without creating a completely new object like lists, these objects are considered as immutable in nature. So like what we have discussed up till this particular point of time. Order is about whether the position of an element in the object can be used to access the element. Both strings and lists are ordered. So you are having your indexes and we can access them, and whatever you are putting it in, it is remaining at the same positions, and hence it is called as ordered. But there are some data types that are unordered in nature. You will be looking at them when we are going down. Okay, so there are excuse me, so there are unordered the data types, data structures as well, which we'll be looking at. Okay, data structures and algorithms. So whenever you are doing data structures and algorithms or competitive programming, choose only one language for that. My suggestion would be either C++ or Java. Do not choose Python, because there may be sometimes in which the interviewer will tell you that you cannot use Python for data structures and the CB problem. So always try to use C++ or Java, because there are the industry standards that will be much more better for you to understand as well. Okay, in our training and internship programs, we teach C++ and then data structures and algorithms and then competitive programming. That is what we follow. Okay, additionally, you will see that these each have different methods. So why you would use one data structure over the another is largely dependent upon these properties and what you can do easily with it. Okay, so previously we have created a variable that is immutable object like string. The value of the immutable object was saved in memory, as you are able to see below. So basically, for the how the entire memory management works in Python for immutable and mutable objects is totally different. Okay, we'll see that, like how everything is being saved, how the values are being saved in memory. That is extremely different in the case of mutable and immutable objects. So let us see first for immutable objects. So strings are immutable in nature. So for example, if I'm having a student Pam and having a character student, then I'm having a print character. So character is equals to Peter, and print character and print student. So what is happening right over here is whatever value, so because I cannot modify a particular string itself, please remember strings are immutable in nature. So I cannot modify a particular string. So if I put it, I'm assigning it to something else or changing something in that, then I have to take out that particular string and put a new string inside of it. Are you able to understand it? Because I cannot modify the string that was present in the box itself. So I will have to take it out and I will have to substitute it by a new string. So like we have studied like in the first class itself, if I'm having a student Pam, I'm assigning character is equals to student, then Pam is being assigned to character, not student. Okay, student is not being put inside of character, Pam is being put inside of character. And when I'm doing character is equals to Peter, then student remains Pam, whereas character becomes Peter. Okay, when I'm running this, you'll be able to see that character has become Peter, but student is still Pam. That is what I am telling to you guys. Okay, moving further. Lists are different from strings as they are mutable in nature and they can be modified. Okay, so when I'm doing the same thing in case of a mutable object like a list, okay, in that particular case the list itself will get modified. So for example, if I'm having so let us see via an example itself so that you guys are able to understand much more appropriately. Let me show you guys an example. So basically when I'm having a particular string A, okay, I'm having a particular string A, it is something, and I'm doing B is equals to A. So what is happening is there is a particular value, okay, this value points, like A points to this particular value in memory. Then I'm doing B is equals to A, B also points to a copy of this particular value. So it makes a copy of this particular value and B points to the copy of the value itself. This happens in case of immutable objects. Okay, immutable objects itself. Now when I'm doing any changes to this particular element itself, then there is no changes happening to the original element because I'm doing changes on a copy of the value itself, not the original value. Now when I'm coming in case of lists, okay, when I'm going in case of lists itself, as you are able to see, for example, if I'm having a particular list A, okay, I'm having a particular list A, this is my list. So A is pointing to this particular list itself. Now I'm writing B is equals to A. When I'm writing B is equals to A, as this is mutable in nature, okay, as it is mutable in nature, B also points to the same list. There is no copy being made. It's not like we are making a copy and then B points to the copy itself. B also points to the same list. Now if I'm doing B of 2 is equals to 8 and I'm changing the index present at 2, now the same change will be reflected to A as well. Now when I'm printing A, this list will be printed because A also points to the same list itself, which has now been changed because I wrote B2 is equals to 8. I have changed the original list and hence it has been list. Okay, so you're having mutable and immutable. So what does mutable mean? Mutable mean you can change it, you can modify it. Okay, whereas immutable basically means you cannot change it, you cannot modify it. Okay, so I cannot do B2 is equals to 8 in case of a string. Okay, whereas in case of a list, I can do B2 is equals to 8. I can just change the elements present in the list itself. Okay, let's move further from here. So that is also done. There are some useful functions for lists that you should get familiarized with. So first of all, len. Okay, so length returns. So for example, in strings, it used to return how many elements, how many characters are there in the string. So here len will return how many elements are present in the entire string, how many like strings, how many integers, how many floats are present in the entire list. Okay, so for example, if I'm doing like let us see. Okay, so right now if I'm writing, instead of this I'm writing len and then I'm writing students. Okay, I'm writing len students. So what this will give me is number of elements present inside students. So there are 11 names present inside students. So len students give me the largest the total number of elements that are present in the students list itself. Max returns the greatest element of a list. Max will return the greatest element of a list itself. Okay, So let's move further. Max returns the greatest element of a list. So what does we mean by that? For example, if I'm having a particular list or a particular string itself, as you are able to see, when I'm doing max students, it will return the word that is lexicographically the highest value. What do I mean by lexicographically? Every character has its own ASCII value. Okay, so there are ASCII codes associated with every character. So for example, when you are having 0 to 9, so 0 to 9 have values like 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55 and 57. Then for example, from capital A to capital Z, you are having the values starting from 65 to 90. Then from small a to small z, the respective values are from 97 to 122. So these are called as the ASCII values of a particular character. Okay, so for example, for here small z is having the highest lexicographical value, that is the highest ASCII value, and 0 has the lowest ASCII value when you are comparing it within this particular aspect itself. So as you are able to see, which will be returning me the highest max of students, that will return me the maximum element present in students itself. So the first letter T has the maximum lexicographical value itself, so Tony will be returned to me. In Barry, the character with the highest like ASCII value would be Y, so Y will be returned to me. So if you are able to see, Tony and Y are being returned to me. Okay, lexicographical value is something that you need to know, that is very easy to understand as well. So let us just try to take up some more examples and try to understand. So for example, if you are having two words like AAD and you are having your ABA. Okay, when you are comparing the lexicographical value of both of them, what you will be doing is, first of all, you will be comparing the first two letters itself, so A and A. So A and A have the same lexicographical value, that is the same ASCII value. Then you will be looking at the second letter, that is A and B. B has the higher lexicographical value than A, so B will be the answer. Okay, so like ABA will have the higher would be greater than AAD. Now when you are looking forward to something like this, you are having ABA right over here as well, and ABAA right on the right hand side. So which has the greater lexicographical value? The first three characters when you're comparing are the exact same itself in both the strings. So the last character is like something that is present extra in this, so this will be of higher lexicographical value than the other character. So this is how you compare lexicographical value between strings itself. Okay, you need to understand this. Okay, next let's move on to max 2 comma 2. Okay, so you are having this particular a particular list. So this is a particular list that has two values, so you are having an integer value as well as a string value. Now when you are comparing between a particular comparison, when you are having two different character data types, you cannot compare between them, so this will throw you an error. You cannot do max on a particular list that is having multiple different data types. You can only do max, you can only do min, you can only do sorting in lists that are having the same data type. Okay, so when I'm running this, you will be able to see that there is an error that is coming to us. Okay, so this is something that you need to know. Okay, so moving further, let us continue. Then you are having characters is equals to sorted students. Now you are having a particular list, sort the students. So this was the list that we were having: Sam, Pam, Rocky, Austin, Steve, Banner, Tony. Now we need to sort them out. Okay, so this will return a copy. Okay, this will not return the same. It will not change the entire list into a sorted list itself. It will return a copy of that particular list, a copy of the students list that has been sorted lexicographically. So if I'm running this particular line of code, you will be able to see that the entire list has now been sorted. And if I'm printing print students, if I'm doing that, you'll be able to see that the original list remains unchanged. The original list remains unchanged, whereas the sorted list has been sorted. All the elements in the sorted list has been sorted lexicographically. Okay, so moving on to join. Join is another useful function for lists. Join is a string method that takes in a list of strings as an argument and returns a string consisting of the list of elements joined by a separator string. So basically here, as you are able to see, you are having some elements in the list itself, some of the strings in the list itself. So join will append all these strings together, join will add all these strings together, and in between every element there will be a \n. Okay, a \n will be, so it will be jack \no \n lantern. So I'm printing it out. \n means it will take you to a new line. Okay, so it will be jack to the new line O to the new line lantern. If I'm replacing \n with a hyphen, then it will be jack -o -lantern. So it will put up jack -o -lantern. Whatever the string is here in the beginning of join, that will be inserted everywhere in the list itself. As simple as that. Okay, moving further, so that is the same thing itself. Now append. So for example, you are provided a particular list A, B, C, D. You want to add a particular element at the end of the list. So you will be using letters, that is the name of that particular list, dot append, and then you will put up the element that you want to insert at the end of it. So when I run this line of code, you will be able to see A, B, C, D, E. So E has been appended at the end of the entire list itself. Okay, so the video has already started. Okay, so tuples. So let us look at tuples right now. This is a new data structure that you will be learning. Tuples is important, and then we'll be looking at for loops itself, and that would be it. So there's not a lot left. Okay, tuples is something that is a useful container. Again, it is another data structure that we are going to learn. It's data type for immutable ordered sequence of elements. Okay, it is immutable in nature, and it is ordered sequence of elements. So it is ordered and immutable, just like strings, but it looks like a list itself. So if lists were immutable in nature, it is basically tuples. We'll see about that right now. They're often used to store related pieces of information. For example, length, width, and height will be stored together always. Coordinates will be stored together. Then like for an example, XYZ coordinates in a particular latitude and longitude will be stored together. So all these things which are usually stored together are usually contained in a tuple itself. So for example, you are having a vector. Okay, what is a vector? X, Y, and Z coordinates that give you a vector itself. So please explain join again. Okay, no problem. Join is very easy to understand. You are provided a list. Every element present in the list will be joined together, will be appended at the end of each other using this hyphen. So jack -o -lantern. Okay, as simple as that. Whatever the string that you have put up in front of join, that will be inserted wherever there is comma inside the entire list. That's it. As simple as that. Okay, moving further, tuples. So vector is equals to 4, 5, 9. Okay, you are having your x, y, and z coordinate. Okay, so vector is equals to x, y, z coordinate that is stored inside a tuple itself. So print x coordinate vector 0, print y coordinate vector 1, print z coordinate vector 2. So as tuples are ordered in nature, as you are able to see in rounded brackets, you are able to store the values. You can even store them as this as well. You do not need rounded brackets. It's not compulsory. You can directly store 4, 5, 9. But usually, just so that to make it very clear that this is a tuple, you store it into rounded brackets. Now you can access as it is. Tuples are ordered in nature, so you just have to mention vector 0. So you will be able to get the first element from the tuple itself. Vector 1 will get you the second element from the tuple, that is 5th, and vector 2 will get you the last element from the tuple, that is 9. So when I'm running this, you will be able to see that x coordinate is 4, y coordinate is 5, and z coordinate is 9. As simple as that. It's very easy to understand this. Okay, moving further, tuples are very similar to lists. When you are looking at a tuple, you will think of like it's separated by commas and it looks like a list. Okay, but they are immutable in nature. Why immutable? You cannot write vector You cannot write vector 0 is equals to 5. Okay, you cannot do that. Okay, you cannot do that. You will get an error. Why? Because tuple does not support item assignment. That means tuples are immutable in nature. So unlike list where you could just like change the elements itself, tuples cannot be changed. Okay, please remember that. You can just change the entire tuple itself. So you can just write vector and then make a new tuple, that is 5 comma 5 comma 9, but you cannot change like a particular element from the tuple because it is immutable in nature. Okay, so tuples are similar to lists in that they store ordered collection of objects which can be accessed by their indices. Okay, that is like indices are present in tuple itself. However, tuples are immutable. Lists were mutable, tuples are immutable. Please remember that. You cannot add, remove items from a tuple or sort them in place. You cannot add elements to a tuple. You cannot remove elements from a tuple. You cannot modify a particular tuple. You cannot sort a particular tuple as well. All these things can be done in a list. Tuples can also be used to assign multiple variables in a compact way. That we have already seen at the start of the entire thing itself. If you remember, we had seen multiple variable assignment. Okay, that was an example of tuple unpacking itself. That is, this is a tuple 3 comma 6 comma 2. Like I said, you do not need to put up rounded brackets. So 3 comma 6 comma 2 is basically a tuple, and height, width and length is also a tuple of variables. Okay, height comma length comma width is also a tuple of variables. So this is also called as tuple unpacking. Okay, so like we'll see it right now itself. So we have already seen a particular example of tuple unpacking, but just to iterate upon it, let us see in tuples itself. Okay, so for example, you are having your location. Okay, location, a variable called as location. It is a tuple of your latitude and your longitude that has been mentioned. So latitude comma longitude has been mentioned in your location itself. Now you have a particular tuple of latitude and longitude. You want to assign the values from the tuple to the variables that you're having. Okay, so you can just like latitude comma longitude is equals to, and then this. Okay, as you have previously done in the multiple variable assignment property itself. We have already seen that was the first thing we started with on the first day. So this is something that I am not going to explain again because you already know that. This is called as multiple variable assignment. So you are having variables on the left and assignment, the values that you want them to be assigned to on the right. Now this particular entire value itself, this entire tuple itself, the name of this tuple is location. The variable that this particular tuple represents is location itself. So instead of writing the tuple again, we can just write location, which contains the value that was on the right side of the multiple assignment operator. Okay, so when I am running this particular code, you will be able to see that the coordinates are, and then directly you are able to use it. Okay, real case for tuple. You will be looking into, like, whenever you are going to machine learning, 90% of the time you will be using tuples itself. You will not be using lists because lists can be modified and you do not want that your image becomes larger than something or some smaller than something. So mostly you will be working with tuples itself. Okay. Okay, moving further, in the second line, two variables are assigned from the content, so that we have already studied. So this is something that we have already covered. Now comes to the for loops itself. Okay, so Python has two kinds of for loops, for loop and while loop, two kinds of loops basically. So for loop and while loop, we'll be studying about for loop right now. So a for loop is used to iterate or do over something repeatedly over an iterable. So basically you get an iterable over which you repeatedly do something. Okay, you repeatedly iterate over something. Difference between a tuple and a string. As you're able to see, tuple and strings are totally different, man. Like, are you guys not able to see, like, what is the difference between this and this? This is a string and this is a tuple. That looks totally different, man. Like, that's a very bad question actually. Okay, no problem in that. Okay, so tuples, for loops. So an iterable is an object that can return one of its element at a time. Okay, so for example, a list is an iterable, a string is an iterable. Okay, it includes sequence types such as lists, strings, tuples, as well as non-sequence types such as dictionaries and files. Okay, so for example, you are having a list of cities: New York, Mountain View, Chicago, Los Angeles. You want to print that whatever cities are present in the entire list. So how will you do that? One, you can just do like city 1, print city 0, print city 1, print city 2, print city 3. You can just write it out all along, but that will take a lot of time on your behalf. What you can do is you can create an iterable. So basically cities and an iterating value, that is city. Okay, so for each value in cities, you can read it just like a normal like piece of English itself. For city in cities, for each value in cities itself, the cities list, you want to print that particular value itself. So city will first take the value of New York City, then it will print New York City. So as you are able to see, New York City will get printed on your screen itself. Okay, then you will go into like city. Okay, then you will go to the next, you will go back again, you will take up city in cities. So the next value is Mountain View. You will take Mountain View, will go inside the for loop, you will check, okay, print city, so I will print Mountain View. So you will get Mountain View on your screen. Next you will go back again for city in cities. Next value is Chicago. You will take city, will take the value of Chicago, it will go inside the for loop, it will print city, and you will be getting Chicago on your screen. Then again it will go back to the for loop, city in cities. Next is Los Angeles, it will print Los Angeles on your screen, so Los Angeles. Then it will go back to the line. So for city in cities, as you are able to see, there is nothing more to the list, so it will break at that particular point itself. It will not continue any further. The for loop will terminate because it has iterated over all the values that were present in the list, and then you will print done. You will come out of the list itself, so of the for loop itself. So you have come out of the for loop, and now you will print done. Okay, so it will print done, and that's it. Okay, as simple as that. So components of a for loop: the first line of the loop starts with the for keyword. Okay, so you will start with the for keyword itself, then which signals that this is a for loop. So it tells basically Python that this next particular piece of line is basically a for loop itself. Okay, following that is a city in cities, indicating city is the iteration variable and cities is the iterable being looped over. So city is called as the iteration variable, which takes up the different values, and hence it is a variable itself. And cities is the iterable value. Okay, so the different like iterable that are present, here the iterable is this particular list. Okay, so that is cities, and city is the iteration variable because it takes up different values from cities list. Okay, so in the first iteration of the loop, city gets the value from the first element in cities, which is New York City. So city will get the first value from the list itself, that is the New York City itself. Moving further, the for loop heading line always ends with a colon. Okay, at the end of it you need to specify colon that says that okay, this is the end of the for loop itself. Okay, next comes the body of the loop. So following the for loop heading is an intended block of code. What does intended means? That it has been tabbed. Okay, that is like there's some space in from the start. So as you're able to see, this has been indented. Okay, so this indented block of code, this is called as the body of the loop itself. Okay, this is called as the body of the loop, to be executed in iteration of each iteration of this loop. So every time this loop is going on, every time this body of the loop will be iterating. So it may be like a plus is equals to a. Okay, so every time it is going inside cities, it will be adding. So a is equals to 1, so it will be adding 1 to a every single time. So let us do a plus is equals to 1. Okay, so when I'm running this particular code and I'm then printing a, so I will just print a. Okay, so you'll be able to see that every time the loop executes, the entire body of the loop gets executed. Okay, so every time city is cities, 1 will be added to a. So earlier a was for example 0, so 4 will be your answer because there are 4 like elements in the entire list. So 4 times the loop is actually running, so 4 times 1 will be added to a, and hence you will get the answer 4 as the like a, like the value of a. So every time the loop executes, the entire body, the entire intended piece of code, so this is entirely intended, so the entire intended piece of code will be executing itself again and again. Okay, after the body of the loop has executed, we don't move on to the next line yet. We go back to the heading line, that is for city in cities, where the iteration variable takes the value of the next element of the iterable. The iteration variable, after taking up New York, then goes back again after printing it. Now city will take up the next value, that is Mountain View, and then print it out and then add 1 to it as well. Okay, this is the entire piece of code. When the process repeats itself until the iteration it has iterated through all the elements of the iterable, then we move on to the line that follows the body of the loop. For example, right over here, once it has printed out Los Angeles, this is nothing more, there are no more city in cities, so it will end the execution of the entire block of code. It will go out and it will print done. As simple as that. That is the entire thing about for loop in Python itself, as simple as it can get. This second more thing as in Python, so for example, you do not have a list to iterate over, you want to iterate over a particular range of indices itself, you want to iterate over a particular range of numbers itself. So for that we use the range function, okay, to iterate over the number. So for example, I want to iterate 3 times, so I will use range 3, so that will give me, I will take up 3 values and it will run the entire loop 3 times. So how does the range function start? So as you are able to see, it is like iterating 3 times and printing hello 3 times actually. So range function, how does it work? What are the arguments? Let's just try to understand that right now. So range function takes in 3 integer arguments, okay, upon which only 2 of them are default values. So by default the start value is 0 and step value is 1. You just have to specify the stop value if you do not want to change the start and the step value. So what is the start argument? The start argument is the first number of the sequence. If unspecified, if it has not been specified, the start value defaults to be 0. So for example, I want to start, so I will print 1 right over here. So as you are able to see, so I takes up the values from 0 and goes up till 2, okay, that is range 3, so up till 3, so you will go 0, 1 and 2. Okay, so I takes up 0, 1 and 2. So basically start value is 0. For example, I want to start it from 5. Okay, I want to take it values from 5 and take up 3 more values. So when I'm printing it out, you will be able to see that I'm printing. Okay, there's some. Okay, what is the problem right over here? Range 5, 3, 1. There's some problem, I guess. This should have worked. I don't know. Okay, so basically like for example, you are having 2. Okay, for example, you want to start from 2 and go up till 3 more values itself. Okay, you want to go from 2 to 3. Okay, so for example, you want to start from 5 and you want to go up till 8 itself. Okay, so for example, when I'm running that, you will get 5, 6 and 7. You do not want to include 7. Okay, you want to go up till 8. Okay, so 5, 6 and 7, you want to start from 5 and go up till 8. If you are not specifying the first number, it will start from 0 itself. The default value for start is 0. For example, you want to start from 0, but you want to increase not in steps of 1. So for example, it is 0, then 1, then 2, then you want to just have the even values. Okay, you want to iterate in steps of 2, so you can just specify 8, 2. Okay, so it will not be 8, 2, it will be 0, 8, 2, because you want to have the steps as that. So it will be 0, 2, 4 and 6. So you want to start from 0, you want to go up till 8, and you want to iterate over in steps of 2. Okay, so you will be having 0, 2, 4 and 6. Okay, so always the start value should be less than the stop value. Okay, please remember this, the start value should always be less than the stop value. Okay, so as you are able to see, range 4. So when I'm printing range 4, you will be able to see that 0, 1, 2 and 3 are being printed on your screen. If you want to specify both the start value and the stop value, then you can just specify like 2, 4. You want to start from 2 and go up till 4, so it will print 2 and 3 on your screen. Okay, then you want to start from 1, go up till 10 and print all the odd numbers, that is you want to increase in terms of 2. So when I'm running this particular code, you will be able to see that 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9 is being printed on your screen. The 3 values that you have to put in, you have to put in the start value, you have to put in the stop value, and you have to put in the steps that you want to take. So you want to go from 1 to 3, then 3 to 4. So that is something that you can do as well. Okay, so giving negative values, let's just see what happens. There's nothing that will be printed out because it only takes in positive values itself. So please remember that. Okay, so that's it for this particular session itself. From tomorrow we are going to start with NumPy. Okay, tomorrow we'll be doing NumPy, day after tomorrow we'll be doing machine learning, and after that we'll be starting with linear regression and everything. Okay, so that is the entire plan that we are going to follow, and you can continue with this itself and just try to revise over it in the next 1 or 2 days. I will just show you the entire like attendance form. So just wait for a second. I'll show the form itself. Okay. Let me just create the form. This is day 3. Okay, so make a copy. Day 3 ML. We'll switch off the responses from this. Day 3 ML, responses are on, send. Please do not message me that the link is not working or something like that. The link always works. Take a screenshot. It is available on my screen for the next 10 seconds, and then I will be closing it. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much everyone. We'll meet tomorrow and then we'll continue with the NumPy as well. Okay, thank you.